Joining us here on the sidelines of the India Today conclave is Mr. Sasi Taroor. Mr. Taroor, hope you're having a good conclave.
Well, it's my participation is coming to an end with this, but it's been very interesting, everything I've heard so far.
It's always wonderful hosting you here. I don't know if you remember, last year I was with you. We had a conversation that broke the internet essentially with you and your sisters. They didn't join you this time.
It's wonderful that they were here. They happen to be in India. They both live abroad. One in California, one in London. So seeing them is a rarity, and seeing them together was an absolutely special moment.
And I remember I asked them a bunch of questions about how you were growing up. And what they told me at the end of the interview, which I regret to today, and I'm hoping to fix it today, is that you sing really well.
Oh, wait, no.
And then they told me, you should have asked him to sing. And I missed out on that. Can we fix that? Because I've had a year of regret over it.
Sisters are hopelessly unobjective. Honestly, they are completely biased in these matters. We've grown up very fond of each other, very close to each other. So I'm afraid you have to discount everything they say very generously.
They're very fond of you, so they may just be right. Let us be the judges, sir.
Well, this is not the occasion to test it, believe me. Ideally, you need to have a mic outside the bathroom one day when I'm in a good mood having a shower.
Okay, so this regret essentially for me will live on. I should have used the opportunity. I think if anyone could have made you do it, it was your sisters.
Possibly.
I asked you a question earlier when we met there, and I think a lot of people on social media ask this. What is it that you wear around your neck, Mr. Taroor?
It's an air purifier. It's called an air tamer. What it does apparently is generate negative ions which cut the viruses streaming around us. I joke about it actually sort of eliminating the toxins that politicians of the ruling party spray in my direction. But whatever it may be, it's honestly technology which apparently has been tested. At least when they sell themselves on Amazon, they say they've tested it and it works. My attitude is if it doesn't work, all I've lost is looking a bit like a dog going with this around my neck. But if it does work, I benefit, so why not try it? And especially during the COVID era, the friend who sort of sold me on the idea and gifted me this one was very insistent that I should try everything because I've been a childhood asthmatic and so on. Respiratory complications and any illnesses that came in that way had to be warded off through all means available. So that's what I've been doing.
I always assumed it was that old flip phone, that it opens up and it's a phone that he's got around his neck.
People say, what are you carrying this old Nokia around your neck for? Exactly, it's not that.
But are you a tech geek then?
Not really. I was once. I'm very proud to say I think I had the first video recorder in Geneva or something way back in 1979 or 80. And I still remember having a video camera in which there were three separate items that had to be connected each time. There was a camera, there was a box connected to a recorder, and you had to carry all these three things to then connect them before you could film anything. It was a hugely clunky enterprise in the 70s. So I've done all of these things early on as a young man, but somehow I must say, I'm not one of those who believes in stereotypical ageism, but as time has gone on, innovations have come with dizzying rapidity. I found myself essentially not caring as much to keep up. And I'm very happy to delegate it to others who are keener and more adept than me and let them take the bother of learning how something works and then showing me.
We've got very few young politicians, let's face it. But amid that, there are maybe politicians in their 30s who can't relate to the Gen Z as much as you do, Mr. Taroor. What is it about you and what do you do consciously or unconsciously that you believe actually connects with this generation?
I don't know. It's certainly unconscious because as far as I'm concerned, I've always been full of both curiosity and interest in other people, and particularly of the young because I believe that the young always bring a fresher perspective. And so I'm proud, for example, in my 14 and a half years now as an MP, I've actually had a team around me in my Delhi office that has always averaged in their mid-20s. In fact, I often take people who are more or less fresh out of college or with 1 or 2 years work experience, who are looking to gain a different kind of experience before going on to the next thing in their lives. So I know that I'll only have them for 2 years, if I'm lucky 3, but most of them just 2. And I just use that opportunity for them to help me and for me to learn from them and them to learn from me. And it's worked very well because as a result, I've got this wonderful continuing bond with all of them. They've gone on to good things in life. They've stayed in touch with me, and amusingly enough, they've stayed in touch with each other. Just recently, I saw a wonderful picture sent to me by 3 former assistants who got together in London. None of them had actually overlapped with each other. They succeeded each other. but they feel that the sort of bond of having worked with me has given them something in common, and they've stayed in touch. I love that, and I want to see more of that kind of thing happening. I feel blessed that I've had the benefit of these young minds, their youthful energy, their enthusiasm, and of course their different perspective. I remember Kofi Annan, my old boss at the UN, saying, and he used to be a personnel person, he used to be in human resources, and he told me one flaw that he saw in most managers is they recruit themselves. I said, what do you mean? He said they look for assistants who have the same qualities they have, and that's a big mistake. You should always have someone who is as different from you as possible. And so he hired me because I was very different from him in terms of his strengths, and my strengths were complementary rather than similar. And that logic was something that I followed through in my life. So by having an entirely different generation, I've got people around me who think differently, who challenge me, who offer a different reaction. I find I'm not at all embarrassed to say, so what do you think about that? How would you see this thing? And they feel free, because I make them free to feel that they can tell me very frankly if they think I'm talking nonsense, or if they think that what I'm saying is going to have a negative reaction with certain audiences or whatever. And therefore that kind of exchange makes for a very, very good office environment, I believe.
So you're saying you have a lot of youngsters in your office. What was one thing, Mr. Taroor, that you learned recently from Gen Z that had you kind of taken aback and you were like, is that really how things work now?
I can't say that anything was totally something that took me aback, other than perhaps some words or expressions that my ever-expanding vocabulary has been.
Give us one that you learned, because we always learn from you.
Oh gosh, now you've got me stymied for a minute, because I've got to think of a recently acquired new word, because there are neologisms coming all the time. What was a new word that I didn't know till recently? You've got me stumped for a minute. I'll have to come back to that. But the fact is, there are new terms coming up all the time, and they're terms that I never understood that they meant what they apparently mean. I'm certain it had never occurred to me that snack could be applied to a human being, for example. There's one. that was a Gen Z term. I think my generation gave my equivalent of the older generation a shock when we taught them that hot and cool could mean the same thing, or very similar things. That somebody could be both hot and cool. But that's something which was my generation's contribution to the vocabulary. So things keep changing and growing all the time. But what I find useful is just their perspective. Something that I may think is obvious may not be so obvious to them. Something that I say, which has a certain meaning for my time, may not resonate the same way with them. But I really value what they have to say, and I've really enjoyed my interactions with people. What gratifies me still is when there's a kind of public town hall kind of event, anywhere in India, not just in my constituency, that the majority of the audience tends to be very young people. I just came from an event in Nagaland a couple of weeks ago, and a TV studio decided to interview me for TV, but on a stage with a full audience, and they threw it open. Anybody who registered could attend, and the hall was full. There were about, God knows, several hundred people there. I didn't count. And overwhelmingly, they were under 30 or in their early 30s. So that was just very gratifying.
I think it's largely because you talk about wanting to learn from them, which I think is unheard of for this generation from politicians. Mr. Taroor, it's the India moment. You're known for your words. One word that you'd currently describe where India is currently. What are we talking about when we say the India moment? One word that comes to your head.
Well, we're aspiring. We're aspiring to be better. We're aspiring to grow. We're aspiring to, frankly, become richer, become more developed, prosper. We're aspiring to find enough meaningful work for all our young people. We're aspiring to try and ensure that our folks are able to dream of a better life for themselves and their families. All those are aspirations, but we're not content, thank God, to just sit back and accept fate. We're here saying, tell us what we can do. Give us an enabling environment so we can do it and make our lives better. And that, to my mind, is the job of business, of politics and government. Create an environment that Indians can make a better India for themselves.
Thank you so much. As always, a pleasure, Mr. Taroor, to speak to you. I hope next time we can host your family as well, like last year.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.